We're back, and Richard's going to jump right in. We've got a lot to go through.
Okay, I'll go off that veterans issue, but you can see that the savings there just by funding a little bit, they get a lot back in our state. Sometimes they can't figure that out, but this one's pretty easy.
Okay.
Victory Village, Amador, we have two issues. One where Jason Mulford is asking for a fee waiver, partial or full, for the fees being charged to Victory Village, Amador, and on the construction and other things that they're doing on the motel.
Is this ongoing? Because it seems like I've heard of this before.
Yeah, he was told to come back with more information,
okay.
And regarding one area was how the property owner feels about that. I think he had made the statement that there was a possibility of a long-term agreement for a purchase with the property owner.
Okay.
So that's one thing that will come back. The item that precedes this on the agenda is a discussion and possible action on a support for a SSVF grant application, and this is the Supportive Services for Veterans Families Program Office, National Center on Homelessness Among Veterans. None of us argue against trying to help veterans, and especially those that are having problems with employment or with housing. I'm not quite sure what the relevance is, and I'm hoping that we'll know tomorrow, but there's two sheets. One is a support letter from Central Sierra Continuum of Care, Amador, Calaveras, and Tuolumne in our packet, and the other is just a cover letter on a notice from the Department of Veterans Service on a change in some wording of who qualifies, it looks like, and I'm not sure by the information, and this is it's important when you present to the Board of Supervisors to try and get things in the packet so that the board has a good idea of what's coming before them. I know what the request is, but I don't know the relevance with the first piece of documentation in our packet. So
is the board trying to get this just real straight, or because this is a new thing? Is that why if there isn't even controversy, but moving this along? Is that what's going on?
We're being asked for a support letter from the Board of Supervisors for Mr. Mulford's request for a grant from this program. I don't have a problem with that as long as I understand the grant,
okay,
and understand the parameters that we are supporting.
Okay.
You don't want to be the blind leading the blind or anything.
That's what I mean. You're trying to do the due diligence for the county before this becomes...
That's correct. So on that first issue right now, for me, there's more questions than answers as to some of at least one piece of documentation that was put in our packet.
Okay.
We go into public hearings then. We have 4 public hearings on the board. The first one is up in the Pine Acres area. They're requesting an ordinance to allow enforcement of the California vehicle codes on private roads. They first referred this, or had our Undersheriff Jim Wagner comment on it. As he said, they don't really enforce traffic on the roads. That's more CHP. So the committee or someone from the county, I think, contacted the California Highway Patrol. Barbara Belvoir from our Public Works Department contacted Highway Patrol. They do not have a problem. What this would do is open up Pine Acres and open up every section, every road within Pine Acres, not just the primaries.
So we're talking about basically a lot of these are maybe just easement roads to get to people's properties, or
no? I mean, you're talking every road within the Pine Acres development. Because sometimes they just declare the primary roads, like in Comanche, it could be just Comanche Parkway or Village Drive. In this situation, they're going to say every road, and CHP concurred with them, saying that makes it easier for us because we don't have to make sure we're on the right road to be able to enforce. Let's face it, how many times are CHP going to go into Pine Acres? Maybe once in a while, but they don't spend a lot of time there, just like they don't spend a lot of time out in Comanche. They're primarily on the main roads, Highway 88, Highway 49, but Highway 16. But if they can go in and enforce and do some good, I'm sure what the owners are worried about here, there's probably some people driving too fast. That's usually the concern.
Okay.
So that's what will happen.
All right.
Next up, we have the continuance, and you've heard about this one before, of the low density, what do we call it, limited density owner belt rural dwelling proposed ordinance.
Right, and this is being coming back because of to clarify some language. Otherwise, it probably would have passed last board meeting.
Well, it was more than clarifying language. It
Okay,
was,
what else was it?
it was actually changing, one area was what is rural?
Okay.
To me, rural is not a 1 acre parcel. To me, rural, you got to have some definition, at least 5 acres, so that's what the board concurred with last time, 5 acres. The other thing that they're looking at is the applicability of this ordinance to smaller parcels in the high country. What if you have a little cabin that sits on a ½ acre up there? Well, I think that's what the ordinance is primarily intended for, so I think we should make some exceptions in that case.
But you don't want the ½ acre that like applies up country to apply to an infill here in Jackson or something.
Correct.
Is that?
That's correct.
Okay.
The other things that Aaron Bruce Torrey was asked to look at was the exclusion of areas where there are planned developments. That's natural to me. The limits of the time that you can have to complete your home. So what you're going to have is five consecutive years. After that 5 consecutive years, there are no extensions. Defining a hardship, that's a hard one to do, but he's somewhat taking language off a previous ordinance that
I believe it was trailers or RV type vehicles in the ag areas.
So, well, that other municipal code defines it with respect to medical conditions, constant care, caregiver assistance, disasters such as fire, flood, or other disasters.
Okay.
The one area I want to make sure we address too, so there's no confusion, is the economic area. I mean, we've been just through going in our 6th year of economic hardship. When that happens, if a person is building a home in this manner, they may say, I'm having a hard time. So I want us to address that tomorrow.
Okay.
And the last is the analysis of cost savings through construction under the draft ordinance. Mr. Bruce Torrey has indicated he has not had enough time to look at the economic savings from not having to install fire sprinklers, the insulation envelope, the specialized electrical controls and fixtures, and the utilization of ungraded milled lumber. So we may still have some work to do on this one tomorrow. We'll take a look at it and see.
Now, this is another item you want to get right.
Yeah.
I believe is the idea before this takes effect. Looking at all of the devil's in the details.
Right, and we did ask that any information that people have come to us before the meeting so we can look at it.
Okay.
To her credit, Sherry Curtis did give us some information indicating that CAL FIRE said you have to have fire sprinklers in any new constructed home. Unfortunately, we don't think she read far enough into the CAL FIRE rules,
right,
and we don't think it applies in this case. So we'll discuss that tomorrow too.
Okay.
We have another two public hearings. One, some people might be interested in. It's on Martell Road, which is, I call it the Martell Cutoff Road. If you go on 49, you cut across the Martell Cutoff Road and hit 88, right, the short way. But there's a piece of property there that they want to take it from R1 residential single family to C2 heavy commercial district. Staff does not have a problem with it because they say most of the other properties in that area are zoned for commercial. So it's getting concurrence from staff. One of the issues that's coming up is if you give them a zone change and approve it, does that give them an automatic approval when they go to put in a commercial project? So that's one of the questions that will be addressed on Tuesday. Last item on the agenda is public hearing for another zone change from R1A residential to A ag district, and this is for the purpose of a business being able to expand their winery and put in a tasting room and have other auxiliary activities going on there too.
And that was where?
That's over in Fiddletown, not Fiddle, excuse me. I was looking at something earlier in Shenandoah Road. So this is a winery in the Shenandoah area, and on 200 feet west of Ostrom Road.
Okay. Well, we have about another minute. Do you have another item?
Other than that, I'd just like to reiterate, when people want to come before the board, get your ducks in a row. Have your information ready to present, and most people are very good about this. But to give the board the data they need to analyze items before they come before the board, because there's nothing worse than having a bunch of paperwork thrown at you.
Can the person approach the board or a member or some part of staff to say what do they want to help
Oh,
them,
absolutely. They can come to
put
our
the
board
ducks in a row?
office. They can come to our board office, talk to our board clerk or deputy board clerk. They can talk to our CAO. I mean, we're a small county.
Can they talk to you since it's one-on-one, before Brown Act?
As
I'm
long
just
as-
curious in that sense.
Yeah, there's no problem. If people are from my district, even if they're not from my district, I mean, we're a small county. We talk to anyone that comes in.
Okay, all right. And time for break. Richard, thanks for coming by.
Okay,
Sounds
Tom.
like it's going to be an interesting meeting.
Yeah.
And once again, if you can't attend those meetings, that the audio is on the website, the county's website, and it's a great way to listen and hear what's going on. I'm Tom Slivick. Thanks for watching TSPN's News, and we'll see you again next time. You're watching Amador County's local television network, TSPN.